Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a quick little review of a shot timer that I recently purchased. And when we get done with the review, we're going to put it to the test on the range shooting the Pistolseed qualification test. So this is the Pocket Pro 2 from Competition Electronics. And as you can see by looking at it, it's a pretty simple device. So there's two pairs of buttons on the front of it. These two are set up and set down, and menu up and menu down. And then there's a button on the side of it to actually start the timer. And then there's a little LCD display on the top. The back of it has a pocket clip, pretty heavy duty solid pocket clip, and then it's powered by a 9-volt battery. Now, if you grew up in the 80s, that's what this looks like. This looks like 80s electronics. And I guess I'm really not knocking it, but it is large and it's not waterproofed. It's not armored in any way. You wouldn't want to use this in the rain, and you wouldn't want to drop it on concrete a whole heck of a lot. But beyond that, I mean, it feels pretty solid. There's a large speaker on the front of it for the beep, and then the microphone is down here to pick up your shots. Yeah, so I mean, it's just a very simple device. Let's power it on and see what we get. So you can see that the display is backlit. I don't know if you can read any of the numbers on there, but there's a couple of different displays. This one is the one I like because it shows the total elapsed time for the string, and it shows, let's see, your last split and your first split. It shows the date, and it shows what the delay is set on, whether it's set to start instantly or start on random, which I have it set on random. But if you just press the menu up and down buttons, you can scroll through the various items that you can adjust, and this is actually the last shot string I did with it. And you just use the set buttons to scroll up and down through the string. Now what's interesting is there was actually only 10 shots in this string over 2 minutes, and it actually ended up picking up 15 because I still had it on, and I was tearing down the range, and it was picking up sounds of me tearing down the range at various points. So clearly I have the sensitivity set a little bit too high. But yeah, let's scroll through the menu real quick. So you have a par time, and that's the second beep, right? Right now it's set to 2 minutes because that was the last string that I shot with it. Then you can do a start delay type of random or instant. I like random. You can do the random start time minimum, which I have at 3 seconds, so it can't beep until at least 3 seconds after I press the start button. The maximum is 5 seconds, so there's a 2-second window there for the randomness. Then you've got a meter for the battery condition. The backlight on time, so how long the backlight stays on after you quit pressing buttons. You got the beeper volume, and this thing's pretty loud. I've got it all the way up right now, so, and as you adjust it, you get to hear it. So that's all the way down and all the way up. So it's pretty loud. When I used it out on the range, I could definitely hear it through my hearing protection. Let's see, went the wrong way. So main screen type, so this is the display. I choose the review direct. You can also choose rounds per minute, which I guess would be good if you were trying to measure the cyclic rate of a machine gun. I don't know. And then you can just do a single time. It just shows the time. Then the shot dead time, this is to prevent it from picking up echoes as shots, and it's set to default from the factory as 0.11 seconds. I'm certainly not going to be shooting any faster than that, so I just left it there. Shot sensitivity, I originally had it on 25, shooting a 22 handgun, and it was picking up extraneous noises that weren't shots. So I turned it down to 20, and that seemed to work a little bit better. I could probably turn it down even a little bit more for that 22. And then you get your date time, and that's it. I mean, it's a really simple device. Yeah. So I took this out on the range and did some shooting with it, and it's interesting, they advertise that it can store up to 99 shots. What's not very obvious is that's within one string of fire. So every time you press this button, it resets that, and you lose what you had in that string. Having not realized that, I went and shot 5 stages and basically lost all of my strings of fire except for the last one. So it's a live and learn kind of thing. That's pretty annoying and not great. Considering how expensive this is, I would expect it to be able to store multiple strings, and it, as far as I can tell, it doesn't. So if you want to keep track of your different strings of fire, in between your strings, you're going to have to either take pictures of the results, or you're going to have to sit there and write them down, and that's kind of annoying. For as expensive as this thing was, I would have expected better than that. And I don't know, I've read the manual. I don't see where it says that you can scroll through different strings of fire, so unless I'm just totally missing it, it doesn't have that capability, and that's a big disappointment. To turn it off, you hold the down menu button for 3 seconds and it'll shut down. It did work, did function fine. So I was using it for the first time to shoot the Project Appleseed Pistolseed qualification test, which is a pretty simple test, and I'll run through it really quickly for you, but it really wasn't putting this device to the test very much, just because the strings of fire were pretty long with really generous par times. But it worked fine for that. Again, like I said, I lost all of my split times because I didn't realize it wasn't going to allow me to scroll through the strings. So let's go ahead and look at the Pistolseed qualification test. So this is basically the Pistolseed qualification test, or the PQT. There are 5 stages: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, and stage 5. You fire 10 rounds on 1, 10 rounds on 2, 5 on 3, 5 on 4, and 10 more on 5. Now you'll notice these targets are pretty small. So this little PQT is really good at balancing precision against speed. So the allotted times are fairly lengthy, or they seem that way. But then when you realize how small this 5 ring is, you realize that the time is actually not as generous as you thought it might be. So yeah, it does a really good job of focusing you on balancing your speed against your precision, making sure that you're following the fundamentals and getting a good sight picture, pressing your trigger properly, right? All of the fundamentals, stance and grip, all of that. If you don't put all that together, and use the time provided, you will not pass this. So it's really great for that. Another reason that it's great is everything is shot from the low ready position. So there's no drawing from the holster, which means this can actually be shot on pretty much any range. Also, the par times are long enough that you're not shooting what would be considered in most ranges rapid fire, right? So they're not going to ding you for that either. So it's really a great test. It's shot at 7 yards. So again, you can shoot it at pretty much any range, including indoor ranges. Now, most people that do Project Appleseed are going to start out with a 22 because it's less expensive, and it's a good way to learn the fundamentals of pistol marksmanship. So I shot it today with Ruger Mark IV. The ammunition I used was the Norma Match 22. And I actually had 3 malfunctions with this ammo, but whatever. This gun actually tends to like the higher velocity ammo better than the match ammo. But let's just jump right into it and get a look at what it's all about. So I'll start with stage 1, which is this big tombstone up here. You have to fire 10 rounds rapid fire, including a magazine change. So you're going to load 6 in the first magazine and 4 in the second, and you have a time of 15 seconds to complete the stage. Stage 2 is the 2 tombstones on the bottom. Again, as with the first stage, you're going to load 6 and 4, so you're going to have a magazine change. Same time, 15 seconds. However, down here, you're going to go 2, 2, 2, mag change, 2, 2. And again, that's in 15 seconds. All right, so stage 3 is this one silhouette here. You're going to fire 5 rounds, slow fire, in 15 seconds, left hand only. And stage 4 is the same as stage 3, except it's right hand only. So 5 rounds, 15 seconds. And finally, stage 5 are these 4 little tombstones on the bottom. This is your slow fire stage. You're going to load 10 rounds into one magazine. And you're going to fire 2, 2, 3, 3, and you have 2 minutes to complete that. And these targets are tiny, so you need the extra time. All right, so let's take a look at how I did. Not great. In summary, not so good. Okay, so starting at stage 1, this is where I had a failure to feed on the last round. But it really didn't affect me. I wouldn't have gotten that shot off in time anyway because I was shooting too slowly. Now this is the first time I've shot the PQT since November, so 6 months or so. First time I've shot that 22 since then as well, right? So I was going into this cold. Yeah, so I would have missed that last shot anyway. I was running out of time. So I did abysmally on stage 1 with a total point count of 34. Now stages 1, 2, 3, and 4, the point count is based on the rings. Stage 5, the point count is doubled. Okay, so just analyzing the target to try and get an idea of where I need to improve, it's pretty obvious that I'm pushing my shots to the left and low for the most part on this stage. And that is pretty common with a right-handed shooter, and what it comes down to is pushing the trigger, right? So that's something that I need to work on. Now I will say, for whatever reason, on that Ruger, I have a really bad habit of doing that with that gun. I don't know if it's because the reach to the trigger is so short or what the deal is, but I've always struggled with that particular gun. Anyway, I just know that's something that I have to work on based on stage 1. So 34 points there. Stage 2, so I did pretty well on this silhouette. My 6 shots are reasonably well centered around the 5. And the group's not enormous. It's not great either, but everything's at least within the 4 ring. So I got 26 points out of 30 on that. This one, I had the one shot down here that was, again, low and left. All right, so I definitely need to work on that. The other 3 were within the 4 ring. So I ended up with 16 points on that for a total score of 42 on stage 2. Moving to stage 3, this was the left hand. I had 4 shots that were within the 4 ring, which is okay-ish. I should be doing better than that, so I can definitely improve on this stage for sure with my weekend shooting, for me, weekend. And then I've got this one that I pulled way out up here, just barely touching the 2 ring, and that's just, wow, we won't even talk about that. I got 18 points on that stage. Moving to stage 4, again, I really need to work on my one-handed shooting. This was my strong hand. I had 3 of the shots stayed within the 4 ring. and then 2 were within the 3 ring. So again, not great. Ended up with a 19 on that for a total of 37 between those 2 stages. Now I will say, was it this stage? Yeah, I think I had a malfunction on this stage, but it wasn't a big deal to clear because it's only 5 shots in 15 seconds. So there's plenty of time on these 2 stages if you have to clear a malfunction. That is doable. And then stage 5. So on this target, both my shots were in the 4 ring, so I had an 8. This one, I counted this as a 4 because it cuts the line. So if you cut the line, you get the score inside that line. So I had 9 there. I had 14 on this one, and I had 14 on this one. If you add all 4 of those up, you get 45. And then again, this stage is doubled, so that's 90 points. Again, with this stage, because there's 2 minutes, I did have a malfunction at the end, and when I cleared the malfunction, it ejected my last round. So I actually had time to walk over, grab another round out of the box, load it into the gun, and shoot the final round well before the time was up. So if I add up all the stages, I ended up with a 203. A passing score on this is a 210. So I did not pass. Okay. Maximum possible score is a 250. Now I've shot this, the best I've done so far is a 218 on this test. And I've shot several in that range, 217, 216, 218. But I haven't been able to get higher than that. But I'm fairly new to it. This is actually pretty new to Appleseed all the way around. So we're all still learning it for the most part. But yeah, it's a fun little test. Like I said, you can take this thing anywhere. And it really puts your fundamentals to the test. Clearly, I have work to do this year. So, that's all I've got for you. Again, the shot timer, a little disappointing. I wish there was something better on the market, but this is what I ended up with. It seems like this is fairly ubiquitous. Right? A lot of people are using this timer, and that's kind of why I chose it. But now I'm wishing I had gotten something that could store more shot strings and allow me to work my way back through them, because it's really going to suck having to go in between every string and write down all my splits. But it is what it is. I've got a timer now, which is great because I haven't shot to a timer since, well, it's been at least 15 years. And so I really need to improve my speed on my draw, and I'm not going to be able to do that unless I can actually measure how I'm shooting. So that's why I've got this. It will work for those purposes, and it will work well for those purposes. But for the money, yeah, it should have more features. That's just my opinion. So anyway, thanks for stopping by for my review of the Pocket Pro 2 and shooting the PQT. Y'all have a good week.